A time and talent list or catalog. What you want to do is when you do your mailings, have a list of all the opportunities for people to volunteer for. Eventually you may have a booklet that has more detail about the ministries. But the first one could be a list of altar server to youth group counselor, whatever you have, A to Y. And leave blank spaces for people to fill in some things that might be a chance to do in the ministries. The way ministries grow is people say, I can do that, or I can try something new. If you stay at 20 ministries for 7, 8 years, something ain't working. Because you could be meeting needs with more ministries. I told this example this morning, another quick, telling the same story. My in-laws, Joan's parents, were two-timers. They went to Mass Christmas and Easter. Never gave a cent, never went to any other time of the year. They were members in name only. But there was a person who lost her husband to cancer, and she had a heck of a time feeding her family for those months he was sick. So she started a ministry to take food to people when they were sick or homebound. And so for 6 months, as my mother-in-law was dying, they took the two of them dinner 5 nights a week for 6 months. And the 4th month, as I said earlier today, I came to visit them, and they were both bawling their eyes out. And I figured it's because they knew that the dot was dying. But it's because they could not believe. They said, we don't do a thing for this parish. And now for 4 months they're bringing us good meals 5 nights a week, and we cannot believe they're doing that for us. We don't do anything for them. The thing that's great about that story, after Dot died, Joan's mother died, Joan's dad, who's now 90, he bragged to me the other day. He said, Jim, this is what, 12 years ago. He said, I've only missed Mass twice since Dot died. That brought him back to the church. So these ministries change lives. They change lives. So you got to get ministries, but have new ones added as you go along. We're also looking at, now this is not fun, but once people volunteer, you have to end up contacting them, inviting them to some kind of orientation. It's key to meet with your ministry heads a month or two before you do your Commitment Sunday. Let them know what stewardship's about, what their expectations are, and say, you'll be getting a list of new people who volunteer for things within a couple weeks after the Commitment Sunday. We expect to set up an orientation within a month and invite people to come to that. If you don't do that, they think you're playing a game with them, and you'll lose them. This is key. You got to make the contact. It's not fun. I had to call 50-some people 2 weeks ago, invite them to a homeless ministry training. Did I like calling 50 folks on the phone when I got mostly voicemails? No, I did not enjoy that. But 42 of them came. So making the contact is core. A core thing you got to do as a committee. A commissioning Sunday is something you look at doing. The evaluation is you look at doing. The evaluation is core. Look at how you're doing the stewardship effort. How can you do things better? Did you do a good job with your brochures, with your commitment cards, was the person who gave like witness on target? Did you find a good way to get the message out throughout the year? What worked well, what didn't work well? You can always do better the next year. Now, let me caution you. In the church, we give way too much control to way too few people. I call them the critics. I had a pastor call me, honest to goodness, and he said, Jim, I got to stop doing the stewardship thing, as he called it. And I said, Father, you've been like a year and a half when you just started. He said, I'm getting a lot of complaints about it. People don't get it. It's just not about money. I said, well, over time, with education, they'll get that. But he said, I'm having a lot of complaints. Now, here's how I handle that phrase. A lot for me is 50% by definition. That's how I define a lot. So I said, Father, you have 500 households. Did you have 250 complaints last week? He said, no, I had 13. I said, why would you not do something for 500 people because 13 complained? I said, that makes no sense to me at all. He said, they complain loudly. I said, I don't care. I mean, you're giving them way too much control. Now, there's some valid critiques. Act on them. But we hear complaints and we bolt. And that's not leadership. So stop doing that. When you evaluate, pay attention, but don't let the critics run what you're doing, because that makes no sense and it doesn't work. A couple of things you can do for education. Use the parish bulletin weekly. You're really blessed to have Mike Handler in here. Mike knows his stuff. He's just here since November. You're going to have a great resource in the diocesan office. We exist as offices to serve people in the parish. That's the reason my office exists. If you need Mike to help with the stuff you're doing, call him up. He'll be there for you. But one of the things you can do is you can very simply put a stewardship thought in the bulletin every single week. Now, our manual's on our website. We stopped mailing it because people got it so often. It's just on the website for Charlotte. But Mike, I'm sure, has things he'll put together here. We have 104 bulletin announcements. That's 2 years' worth. That'll keep you busy for a couple of years. But you can easily put a stewardship thought in the bulletin every single week. Now, is that a stewardship effort by itself? No. But it's a part of the awareness, part of what's going on. You can do that very easily. You can look at some brochures. Our Sunday Visit or other companies have brochures. Put them in your pamphlet racks. And every 3 or 4 months, put a different brochure in. But people may not read it, but they'll see it. So again, one way to do it is a simple pamphlet rack. Parish newsletter. There's some research I'll talk about a little bit later on of the best practices in parish stewardship, of research done by a guy at Villanova for our International Stewardship Council. And he found that a newsletter was one of the most impactful things for a parish community to do in the communication vein. Could be a front and back page. Could be every 3 months. And it goes to their homes by email or direct mail because most folks don't get to church every single week. So if you do that, you can easily put some things in the newsletter or put things in the bulletin. One of the things in our manual is 24 questions and answers about about stewardship. If you do one every 3 months, you got, 6 years worth of bulletin inserts with questions and answers. So again, you do things like that. Those are important things. Homilies are core. We've looked at the 3-year cycle of gospel readings, the ABC cycle. We have found a stewardship message every single one of those 36 months. So it means the pastor, the deacon, they can preach about stewardship monthly, month in and month out. Now, it's broader than the word, but you have so much in scriptures tied to time, possession, and money. Homilies are core, and there's resources for that out there. They're all over the place. Prayers of the faithful. Something like every other week, a prayer like Lord in gratitude for those who are sharing their time in the choir, who give their time to enliven our liturgy by practicing and using their gift of song. In gratitude for their gift, let us pray the Lord. Simple thing. You pick 26 ministries, 26 prayers of the faithful, easy to do. Welcome and hospitality are just core. Let me, for a second, take you to that handout that says stewardship and hospitality. I want to call your attention to that. I'm not doing it in many of these different handouts. But I want you to look at a couple different things. From the research, are you with me on that? It says stewardship and hospitality at the top of the page. It's in that handout packet. Have you found that yet? It's several pages back. It's in the one that says all the handouts. A couple of things. There's welcoming activities that some parishes are doing, this research we saw. There's community building activities. But I'm looking at the bottom of that page, welcoming new parishioners. One of the things people do is they train greeters at Mass. Now in our church, an example, they have 2 doors you go into the church. They have greeters at both doors. You know what I found they did? I stayed there for about 5 minutes one day. Most folks, say hello and walk in the church. They were rotating 7 different greetings. So no one heard the same thing, like just repeat, like good morning, good morning, good morning. I counted, they were trained to do 7 repeating messages, so everyone thought they were greeting them individually, special, because they didn't hear what they heard from the person in front of them. Simple thing. The pastor sends a welcome letter and makes a personal phone call, unless it's a big parish, and maybe some volunteer does, to welcome folks. How many of y'all got a welcome letter, a welcome visit, a thank you, welcome call when you came? Some people sign up sponsoring families, so for the first 6 months, they visit new families and say, how you doing? Can you come to this ministry? Come to that ministry? Turn the page over. You can look at newcomer receptions or visits. We had one parish that sent out personal invites for the first 6 months to new people to any activity that was going on. Another parish mails birthday cards to every single people every single year. Every person gets a birthday card. Ongoing hospitality, we're looking there where you have special ministers for the homebound. You have opportunities for receptions that go on. You have outreach. You have a lot of community gatherings. We found one of the most important things in the stewardship parish is that people gather as a community anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. It could just be simple, some snacks and some drinks, Could be a feast day gathering. Could be a thank you of all the volunteers you can come up with. But the folks who brought folks together in this community 2 to 4 times a year had great impact on stewardship in their parish. So think about all those things. What I want you to do when you go back, see how many of these things you're doing in your parish, and maybe add a couple more. But hospitality is just so core to what's going on in that whole community. Keep on going. You want to have a commissioning Sunday you could do. We have some parishes that will commission all the people that volunteer in ministry and do that commission in one weekend. All those involved with education stand up and be commissioned. All those in administration, all those in family life, all those in community life, all those in communication. Whatever you have as ministries, all liturgical ministries, folks, they all get commissioned, and then they say everyone who's praying for these folks can stand up. So eventually the whole church is standing up. The other one you can look at is show appreciation. I've never had someone tell me they've left the church for being thanked too much. We don't do a good enough job of thanking folks. So find ways to thank folks and thank them again and thank them again. As I think I said to you earlier, some of our parishes call all the ministries once a year and thank them for their ministry. They get a phone call message. How many of y'all have been thanked on the phone for doing something? It's a simple thing you can do, but that's important. It makes a big difference. Give you a quick example of being thanked too much. One of my friends was our diocesan director of social services, and I said, Elizabeth, we ought to thank people more than we're doing now when they give a gift to social services. She goes, I think we're thanking them a lot. Don't you think they get upset if we thank them too much? I said, first, if they tell you don't thank them that much, you change your database for that person. It's simple to do. But her brother died, who was a colonel in the military, and got buried in Arlington National Cemetery in D.C. And they did like 20 things in 2 days to recognize his life. There's regional stewardship meetings that go on that can happen. There's also conferences, conference call meetings. I'll tell you what's happening more and more now is more people are meeting by conference call. We have one group where we have 12 different committee heads and stewardship decide to meet by phone every 2 months, and they have an hour-long phone call. It costs like $100. And what they do is they rotate the costs among the 12 parishes. But those 12 committee chairs meet every 2 months by phone to look at best ideas, practices, other kind of things. It's a great way to do some things. So a lot of ways to do that. You can see there's also mixing. What I would hope would happen is you start talking to folks who are doing stewardship in your parish and diocese and other places. So I'm sure they can give you a list of who all attended today, what parishes are here. You ought to start talking to each other and find out, how you doing your commitment Sunday? How you do your commitment card? What kind of things are you getting in your bulletin? How are you finding a way to train your volunteers? There's all kinds of ways. Use the resources you have. There's individual meetings, individual email. So a lot of ways to do that. The next one is on models. These are, I think there's 12 here if I count them right. These are the parishes that have won the Murphy Award. You see St. Francis and Wichita was the first one. We have told these parishes that this award is more a responsibility than a recognition. We expect you to be available to anyone who calls you anytime to give them help and stewardship, but don't accept the award. Pretty direct, pretty blunt. Now, they can't go those places, but if someone calls you, call them back. Someone email you, give them information. Just one example, St. Pius in Greensboro, one of our parishes, they actually put their whole application for the award on a CD, and they have it broken down by 12 categories, and they have 300 plus individual documents just from their parish alone. You can get that disc from them for free. Call them up and say, can I have your disc? Gives you all kind of ideas. So models, and then I would argue again that I know like Pax Christi, where we are, is a great stewardship parish. You have others. There's probably at least the top 10 in every diocese in the country where they can be a resource to folks in your diocese. So I want you to spend time talking to model stewardship parishes. They should be very willing to share ideas and things they have going on. Use that. And then there's email. There's more and more folks doing email exchanges. There's other ways to do it better than email. I'm just not very good at those other things. But there's all kinds of groups you can form on the web where people can connect questions and ideas. So spend time with that. So again, you got to keep on getting better, continuous improvement. A couple more to go. you want to develop an annual plan. And let me take you to that handout too as well in your packet. To give you an example, I'm not going to go through it line item by line item, but it's a Stewardship Committee annual plan. Are you with me on that page? Have you found that yet? I think it's one of the last pages in that packet of handouts. It says at the top, Stewardship Committee annual plan. You have that? This is a parish's plan in their 5th year. This is not a first-year plan, but it's not a 10th-year plan. This is a parish's plan in their 5th year. As you look through this and compare to the 19 things, they're doing most, if not all, the 19 things in their 5th year. So what you want to develop is a plan. It'd be more basic the first year, more involved as you go forward, but you ought to develop a plan of what you're going to do over a 12-month period in this whole thing called stewardship. And the last one I'll say to you, the 19th one, is expand your focus beyond the parish. You got to step outside your community. You got to do things with your time for people in the community and do things with your money. Most of our stewardship parishes give 5% or more of their offertory out in grants to community ministries every single year. They set the example for their people by doing it themselves. One parish we have gave out $150,000 last year in grants to agencies doing good work for people in the Charlotte area. That was their surplus. $150,000 went out to people in the community. And then you get people to do work teams, like for Habitat, like for the homeless shelters, for food banks, for soup kitchens. We organize a team of people to go out and do meals. So you do things outside organized, or you do things overseas. Pick a country. I don't care what country. Pick a country as a parish to get involved with. Our parish involves with Jamaica and Haiti. Last year, they sent 6 semi-tractor trailers full of stuff down to Haiti in 2 different times. 3 tractor trailer fulls each time. They take them out on barges on ships to get them down there, so big. So look at ways, if you're focusing just on your parish, it's not working right. You got to do things outside the community to reach out beyond your own parish. That's core. So let me tell you that it can't be business as usual anymore because you've heard too much. You heard Father Dan. You heard something in your second talk. You've heard this. You're accountable for what you hear. So plan some initial steps today or this month. When you go back, get together with some people in your parish and say, we heard these things at Pax Christi. What can we do to start taking some action on some of those? If you don't do this is a wasted day. It's great to hear good things, good ideas. If you don't do anything with them, you've wasted your time being here. So you need to get some folks together. If you came here by yourself, talk to another parish and get some help from them. But go back and develop a plan to do something. Again, we don't convert, but we can establish an environment in our parish where things happen. Now, you heard Father Dan say in his first parish, within a couple years, I heard him say, there were major changes in the parish life. That's because they changed the environment. And because of that, more conversion took place. So you have great influence on that. So if your parish has already begun the journey, enhance it. You cannot tell me you've arrived. You have not. You never will. You never get there, wherever there is, in your spiritual life. And you won't as a parish community. So if you're doing all 19 things I mentioned today, do some of them better. And if you're not talking to folks, talk to folks to get better ideas. You can do your stewardship effort better every single year. So if you've begun the journey, enhance it. Your own personal life can change too. Look at what kind of steward you're being. Are you happy with where you are? And you're giving your time and talent and giving your money. You may be. My wife and I are happy with 10%. That's where we are right now in our treasury. And we're happy with our 7-8 hours a week right now. And you may be too, but at least look at it. See if, do a checkup and see if you're okay with where you are. If you're not doing this, then start it. And you can use Mike's office to help you. If you're coming, Pax Christi has been doing this for some years. You have 2 in some parishes here, but if your parish has not done this before, call Mike next week in the office and say, Mike, we want to start doing the stewardship effort, working on it. We need your help to get started. Do not scramble and try to start on your own when you have a resource like Mike available to you. Don't do that. So if you're doing this right now, make it better. If you're not doing it right now, then go ahead and get some help to do it. Jesus said basically, come and see. Today you came and you saw. Now go and make a difference in the lives of people in your parish, because it will change you and change them. Thanks for coming. God bless you, and God bless your work.